Welcome back to this I24News Evening Edition, and this is the Daily Debate. In Israel, there is a political sentence that is said about Ariel Sharon. Those who didn't want him as defense minister got him as prime minister. Joining me tonight is Dror, Yemini, senior journalist at Ma'ariv daily newspaper. Good evening.
Good evening. And
Hazan, lecturer at the Israeli Center for Political Training and former advisor to Israeli Minister Gideon Sa'ar. Thank you very much for coming.
Thank you. Good evening.
Sharon was forced out from the defense ministry by the Khan committee that investigated the massacre in the refugee camps of Sabra and Shatila in 1983. And for years, he was viewed as a has-been politician. But Ariel Sharon came back as an elected prime minister in the year 2001. Was Ariel Sharon a skillful politician?
Well, he was, yes, of course. He was a very skillful politician. I mean, first of all, he made it, which meant he became the prime minister after everybody was sure that he finished his career. And he did it all the way back. There is another question. Was he a good politician? Was he a good statesman? And this is the main question, because, well, if he was the prime minister, probably he was a good politician. The big question mark is about his being a statesman. Do you want my answer right now?
Yes.
Well, we have a problem. We have a problem because actually most of his life was politically a big mistake. Because what he said the last 2 years, actually, I made a huge mistake. I'm the one who pushed everybody to the settlements, to build more and more settlements. And he is the one that eventually came to the conclusion that he actually constructed the binational state, which was a big mistake from his point of view. Needless to speak about my view right now,
yes.
But from his point of view, he regretted, he retracted. What he did actually is to say, I had a big mistake all my life. He never said it. By the way, I'm now just giving my interpretation,
yeah.
But actually that's what he did. I had a huge mistake during all my political life. Here I am retracting. Here I am saying that it was a big mistake. Here I am saying that we have to evacuate the settlements.
Regretting?
I believe so, yes, but under complete different circumstances. He wanted to be in the regime more and more, and therefore he had to do something he did not want to do. And I would like to remind that the interview of his assistant, which said that the disengagement came because or due to the Geneva Accord. Therefore, we had to do something in order to deal with the public opinion. I believe we did a lot of mistakes, but finally and eventually he was a politician, and he succeeded all his, as I would say, he wanted to be prime minister ever since the 1970s. He succeeded, and it was his great achievement, I think.
Yeah, you're speaking about, I guess you're speaking about Dov Weissglass.
Yeah, I'm
and
speaking
his
about
very famous interviews that he gave to Haaretz, to Ari Shavit.
Yes.
And in that interview, you're completely right. He said, well, it's in order to save Judea and Samaria. That's what he said, because, I mean, I want the Arabs to
and
be...
he talked about the public opinion.
And it's, never Sharon. But,
exactly.
But Dov Weissglass. And you know what? We don't know. We don't know, because if we ask Dov Weissglass right now, what does he think? He will say something which is completely different. Yes, he wanted actually to evacuate. Yes, he wanted separation. Also in the West Bank. I mean, so we have not only two Sharons, we have also two Weissglass.
No,
and
in
it
a
leads
way,
to the question whether Sharon lead or led by others. It's a good question.
Exactly, because I wanted to, in a way, we talked yesterday about Sharon, about the military perspective, and today we're talking about the political perspective. And in the military perspective, we knew that he was the man that led the war. He was a one-man show. The question is was he a one-man show also in the politics?
I think that finally not. I think that his last years he did not lead. be led by others.
Yeah, well, we are speaking about a process of
unilateral?
sobering up. Actually, that's the main point. I mean, but we have to bear in mind that actually it happened to every high-ranked politician. Look at Rabin, it happened to him. Look at Shimon Peres, it happened to him. He also supported the settlements in the 70s. And look at Ehud Barak. I mean, he built settlements more than every other prime minister. We cannot forget it. In a government where Yossi Sarid was a cabinet member, and he built endlessly settlements. And they all, in a way, had a process of sobering up in one stage or another. It's very
It happens
interesting.
to Netanyahu as well.
Now about Netanyahu, we don't know. Now, this is the big question mark
Will
about
it happen
nowadays.
to Benjamin
Will it
Netanyahu?
Vendor, do not
Will it
forget what
happen to Benjamin
Netanyahu
Netanyahu?
did in 1997 from Hebron.
Yeah.
And
The why
do not,
agreement.
do not forget the freezing in Judea and Samaria. It is
For 10 months, yeah.
9 months, but
But I want to know, let's try to look at what brought him to go back so strong to the political arena, because he came back strong. He came back with all the power in the world, with all the support in the world.
a lot of fortune, I would say. Do not forget that...
A lot of fortune.
Yeah. He was fortunate because he became the leader of the Likud after the retirement of
Although we
Netanyahu.
can say a lot of fortune for Ehud Olmert after his being in a
and
coma.
do not forget
I don't know if the
the political circumstances in 2001. Barak was considered to be a failure, and therefore Sharon was elected to be a prime minister. It's kind of like a vacuum, I would say.
He got into a vacuum?
Politically, actually, yeah, Netanyahu gave up. He didn't want to be the prime minister in that point, in that stage.
Because
he
of the
didn't want
election.
because of political problems. He was afraid that he's not going to have the majority in the Knesset, in the parliament, the Israeli parliament. He was afraid, so that's why he did not want. He gave it up. But he could win in the Likud election in that time, but he gave it up. Now, Sharon, yes, I mean, after what happened in the Camp David, after what happened with all the proposals of Barak that were rejected by the Palestinians in that time, and we cannot forget what happened with the Clinton proposal. It was again rejected by Yasser Arafat. We cannot forget what happened in Taba. Again, they did not achieve peace. It's very interesting because they knew until the very last moment that if they will come to the people with an agreement, they can win. And they made all the efforts in order to achieve an agreement, which did not work out.
You know, it puts a question mark about the Israeli leadership because, like you said, you're saying that Ariel Sharon came, he had a huge luck because of Bibi Netanyahu, Benjamin Netanyahu, not going to elections. Ehud Barak getting the elections again by luck. Ehud Olmert getting it because what happened to Ariel Sharon, and Benjamin Netanyahu being a prime minister because of the Second Lebanon War. So what is going on here?
You know,
we don't have any leaders?
I just read the new book of Avi Shilon about Ben-Gurion, his last years, and it is very interesting of what you were saying. Do not forget, we are becoming very cynical today. Our generation is very cynical, and therefore you treat your leaders in a cynical way. And do not forget the power of the media. You can look at the failures and the weaknesses of your leaders, and therefore you cannot, let's say, salute them or admire them.
Nowadays, I mean, the process that you're describing is highly correct because actually every opposition leader in the last 15 years is waiting to the failure of the leader that is in office. I mean, that's what's happening. That's a process which, I mean, you described in a very correct way. This is the way. I mean, now everybody's waiting to the failure of Netanyahu.
So
yeah, no, I mean, as long as he can balance himself, everything is okay. He's
How
going to
can
be
you be a
reelected.
prime
He is going
minister
to
like
be.
that?
I mean, this is a big question. I mean, how can you? I mean, if you want to lead, if you want to make any kind of change, if you want to achieve peace, which is, I would say, the dream of every Israeli leader. I mean, you have to make changes and you have to take some risks. Can he do it or not? We don't know.
When his mind is actually occupied, if he can stay in the
Yeah.
seat or
I mean,
cannot stay in the seat, and who wants
Lucy,
the
do not
seat?
forget that they cannot control anymore. I just read the new book of Daniel Friedman about the High Court and Aaron Barak, and the Knesset members and the ministers lost the power. We want only responsibility without giving them the authority, and therefore they cannot implement policy. And this is the fragments of, I would say, the regime in Israel you cannot control, in fact.
Yeah, well, we have a problem in Israel of legal activism. This is the right term.
That is
The
term,
legal
the phrase.
activism, which means that yes, they are losing power. The politicians, they are losing power,
In the last 20,
and I mean,
25 years.
even the policy about something which is very, I mean, it's just unbelievable. I think we are the only country. I mean, any measure that the government is deciding about the Gaza Strip actually cannot be realized, cannot be implemented, because somebody is going to
Suggest a bill
to take a petition to the Supreme Court, and probably whatever measure is going to be scrutinized by the Supreme Court, which means you cannot do anything. I mean, we are the only one state, I repeat it, the only one state on earth that a process of that kind can take place. And it is paralyzing the government. It is. Now, does it have something to do with peace? Maybe yes, maybe not. But I know that politically they feel very restricted. That's for sure.
You know, Sharon was the last leader that had an enormous agreement around and all around the public to actually be elected.
He gained
and you
a
know,
lot of
democracy
gained
a lot of popularity. And you know, democracy is by the people and for the people. And I'm taking it back to the people. Do we know how to elect our leaders?
No, of course not. But this is democracy. Democracy, as I think it was Churchill who said it, it's not the best one.
It's the less worse.
Yeah. So we have to understand it. I mean, you don't. Eventually, look at the big leaders of Israel. I mean, look at Yitzhak Rabin. I mean, he took decisions, maybe because of the circumstances. Look at Barak, Ehud Barak. Yes, he took decisions. Yes, he accepted the Clinton plan. It was not easy for him. Don't misunderstand him. It was not easy for him. Look at Sharon. Yes, he took decisions. Look at Netanyahu. Look, he declared two-state solution. He declared it means something. It means a lot of concessions. So they did it. But not all the way. We cannot forget that we have the other side.
Of course.
Because, I mean, it's not only up to the Israelis. It's not only up to the Israeli leaders. We have the other side. And the other side, unfortunately, from my point of view anyway, unfortunately, rejected any peace plan.
Exactly, I totally agree.
So it's a problem. We cannot have any kind of debate.
Any kind of debate.
I totally agree, and it's a lot. It depends a lot on the other side, and we don't have a partner, and you can see it right now during the peace negotiation with the Palestinians. There is no any I would say any actual talks, and we cannot find each other. We cannot compromise one with each other, and therefore it's stuck. It's a kind of stagnation.
Let's say maybe something is happening now. Maybe something is happening. We don't know.
I have to close the debate, but I have to say we're not making the lives of our leaders any easier as well.
That's for sure.
That's for sure. Thank you, gentlemen, very much for this conversation. And we're going after 10 minutes break, an update from our news desk, and then we will be back with the I24 News one-on-one. Don't go anywhere. 10 minutes break, and I'll be back.